Sometimes a person gets up to pray in the evening, and suddenly such exhaustion comes over him that he can barely stand. He can hardly get through his prayers, but as soon as he finishes his evening prayers, suddenly the phone rings, and he can talk for 2 hours in a perfectly energetic voice. And the sleepiness is gone. That should make us stop and think. Prayer really is a spiritual battle, because the forces of evil rise up against a person who is praying in a special way. They want to interrupt the dialogue between a person and God. And there is usually this advice. St. John of Kronstadt gave this advice. If, while you are praying, you realize that your mind has wandered somewhere else, you don't need to start the entire prayer rule all over again. Go back to the prayer where you caught yourself having that thought, where you realized that your mind had wandered, and read that prayer again. Then some experienced spiritual fathers say that evening prayers can be read immediately after dinner, because for some people it can be difficult. They wait until right before going to bed and then get up to pray. But strictly speaking, our evening service is already the feast day service for the day that follows. For example, we celebrate Sunday already on Saturday evening. Therefore, after dinner, a person can say his evening prayers, leaving a certain part of the prayers for when he is about to go to bed. The same is true of morning prayers, although, according to the Bible, the best time is before sunrise. The book of Lamentations says that every morning God renews his blessings. But technically speaking, we can suppose that a person can say his morning prayers as late as noon. If, for example, because of certain circumstances, he has to get the children ready for school, his wife has to see her husband off to work, and so on. They get caught up in the busyness of life and are unable to say their prayers. That is why we have the prayer rule, evening prayer, morning prayer, so that a person does not reach the point where he stops praying altogether. But this does not mean that evening prayer has to be right before bed. You can pray after dinner. And morning prayer does not have to be only in the morning. If you didn't manage to pray early in the morning, then pray at 10, at 11, at least before noon. But pray.